You said heads, right? Yeah. So, Anakin, do you want to go first or do you want to go second?
I'll go second.
You go second, alrighty. So, welcome candidates. To begin, you will each be given 5 minutes for opening statements. You just saw me flip a coin. So, Cyrus, I believe you will be speaking first, correct? Okay. You will have 5 minutes for your opening remarks, then following, Anakin will have 5 minutes to go as well. So, without further ado, please go.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Halsey-Kraus, and I'm currently running to be your student body vice president. A little bit about myself. I'm a current junior majoring in business healthcare, marketing, and supply chain management, and I am from Sepulveda, Oklahoma. I am very excited to be here today, and I would like to thank the Student Government Association for putting on this event. Being a first-generation college student, my first day on campus was filled with not only excitement and hope, but also some confusion and uncertainty about my unfamiliarity with the college experience was for me. Through perseverance and the support of my peers and mentors, with hard work and determination, I learned the ropes and continue to find my way through what the University of Oklahoma has to offer. I know firsthand what it's like to feel in need of support and need of an advocate, and this is the reason I decided to run with Kaly. Together, we can create a more inclusive and accessible environment for every student, regardless of their background. So Kaly and I got to thinking, how can we make OU blue? Firstly, OU SGA needs to bridge the gap between itself and the students they represent. Many SGA candidates go to organizations to have them check out their campaign and they never come back. To bridge the gap, I for one want organizations to feel close to the Student Government Association and use them as a resource. Ideas we have brainstormed include creating spaces with the groups, including groomies, meetings, or mixers with student leaders from RSOs across campus. Next is leading us into the SEC. This upcoming year, OU is moving from the Big 12 to the Southeastern Conference. Oftentimes, when we think about the transition to the SEC, we think about the progression in sports. But most importantly, what about the progression in academia? We should never disregard this, and our goal is to provide better support for students beyond their graduation day. The biggest way we can learn to adapt to the SEC is by learning from the SEC. Kaly and I are wanting to host regular meetings with student and faculty leaders from other SEC schools, which will allow us to be ahead of the game and prevent any problems that you may encounter from this big move. Then, we plan to optimize student resources. OU has had many various resources to offer, from the free Scantrons in the SGA office, to the free resources Goddard has to offer, and much more. By creating a platform with all free resources together, students and faculty can access it easily without any trouble. Now, our traditions. After the height of COVID-19, campus morale has been lower than ever. By collaborating with leaders of the Campus Activities Council, we want to show students what our school has to offer and how to get involved beyond the classroom. Most importantly, we want to make your voices heard. This platform and election is not about Kaly and I because we are here for you. It's about making the students here at OU feel loved and heard. The campaign has allowed us to meet with student leaders regularly across all organizations to hear their concerns and how SGA can be a resource to them. If elected, we pledge to create a cabinet-level position to be directly in charge of student concerns as well, so SGA can hear and address any issues as soon as we get them. Thanks to OU, that little freshman Cyrus now sees a dream like no other. I hope you all can join Kaly and I as we can make our campus blue. Thank you.
Thank you, Cyrus. Anakin, you have 5 minutes for your opening statement. You may begin when you are ready.
Thank you, Seth. Can you guys hear me? Good. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Undergraduate or Koneru. Anik is my Starbucks order name, so sometimes I tell people that. When Trey first asked me to be his potential running mate, I thought to myself, I'm not that popular, really. I'm more of an individual that keeps to myself. I'm usually very shy and nervous. But I was thinking about what the vice president position could do for me, and then I had a change of heart. I thought about what the vice president position actually does and what it entails, and it's about doing the work for the students, not for what it could do for my resume or for my ego at that. So I decided to ask some of my friends, what are some issues that we can fix on campus? And not just that, when me and Trey are going around campus campaigning, we're going to the Union, the South Oakland Library. Maybe you've seen our big mascot, Coco the Bear. We're asking the students what we can fix and what the issues are, what are relevant to our student body. Going into our platform, the WIN platform, it's an acronym which stands for Welcoming Community, Igniting Change, and Notifying You. So, With the welcoming community part, we want to give everyone on campus a place of belonging because everyone deserves to feel like they belong here. Everyone deserves to find their community at OU because OU is so much more than a football school. I learned that on our journey in this campaign that there's so many amazing leaders and individuals with all the organizations and week life chapters that we've talked to, that everyone has a place here at OU and they just need to find where they belong. In terms of encouraging inclusion, we're looking to unite our fellow students and creating a sense of community, like I said. One of the ways that we're thinking about doing so is throwing more SGA outreach programs like a football game tailgate. So students have a place to come meet their SGA representatives, learn more about what SGA does, and see how they can get involved within SGA. In terms of representing the unheard, we want to basically amplify the voices of all campus communities, from Greek life to ethnic communities. We want to plan to ensure equitable representation within the Student Government Association. And if elected, we aim to initiate collaborative efforts with on-campus communities, including the DEI, student organizations, and administrative departments to develop legislation that resonates with and addresses the concerns of our student body. So in terms of igniting change, in terms of policy and access, we want to change things like these student absence policies. We want to increase accessibility and improve infrastructure on our campus. Our goal is to enhance the quality of student life. We want to collaborate with OU parking services, promote sustainability with more trash cans, and increase planting on campus. And we also want to strive to make course materials more affordable and cost-effective. And we will also advocate for healthy food options on campus and for competitive wages for student workers by working with students and administrators to ignite positive changes and legislation. In terms of N, which is notifying you, we want transparency. We are committed to promoting transparency by keeping students informed about campus resources, addressing student challenges, and providing clear explanations for our legislative decisions. And your financial well-being is really important to me and Trey, and we will push for a comprehensive breakdown of how your fees and tuition are allocated. And to speak to I feel like actions speak louder than words. Me and Trey took the initiative to go speak to certain administrative people already to do our due research. We spoke to the Director of Admissions and Recruitment. We spoke to the Director of OU Parking Services and Transportation to see if any of our ideas would actually be implementable. If that's a word that doesn't exist, it does now. But I want to thank you all for listening to my speech, and I yield the rest of my time.
So, as discussed earlier in the rules, the order will now flip. So, Anakin, you will be asked the first question. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the questions. So, your first question comes from SGA Vice President Emelie Schultz.
Thank you so much. Okay, so, what, in your view, are the primary objectives and duties of the Vice President within the Student Government Association?
I think it's an extension of the presidential position. I think it kind of serves as like an assistant to the president position in terms of like creating task force, talking to student organizations and creating outreach. I'm also leading the Crimson Leadership Association. That is also an important part of the vice president position. And I think bringing in ideas and research and bringing those ideas to the president in terms of like, I would do it in terms of like reports. I think those duties are what vice president position entails.
Thank you so much, Candidate Koneru. Okay, Candidate Mortazavi, the same question to you. What, in your view, are the primary objectives and duties of the Vice President within the Student Government Association?
According to myself, there's two main things. It's being the advisor to the Crimson Leadership Association, and also the Vice President may create the Vice President Task Force, and also whatever duties that the President gives to the Vice President. So, for example, this year, a great example of the Vice Presidential Task Force is the Campus Climate Board, and that's just one of those Vice President Task Force that they can kind of oversee. And with helping being an advisor of the Crimson Leadership Association, you would work with the chairs, such as, for example, now it's Hope and Baylor, and just work with them and be a resource to them.
Thank you, candidates. Cyrus, you will be the first to answer this next question. The question comes from me, the election commissioner. One responsibility of the Student Government Association Vice President includes providing guidance to the Crimson Leadership Association, a program aimed to engage first-year students in SGA. How do you plan to enhance this program?
So with the Crimson Leadership Association, I think Hope and Baylor are doing a great job currently. And recently I was able to go to the Crimson Leadership Association and just speak about the campaign. And as soon as I walked in, I felt so loved and encouraged and just ready to work. And with the CLA organization, I just really, in years to come, just want to emphasize it's such a great freshman foundation. Many, not only SGA leaders, but student leaders are in the Crimson Leadership Association. And it's just such a great connector to SGA, but also to campus. And so a lot of great ideas that I can think about is, for example, you guys know the Gateway to Belonging courses here at OU. That's a great mainly freshman class, and just speaking about CLA to them, and just so they know what CLA has to offer.
Thank you, Cyrus. Anakin, the same question to you.
I can repeat the question as well. Real quick.
One responsibility of the Student Government Association Vice President includes providing guidance to the Crimson Leadership Association, a program aimed to engage first-year students in SGA. How do you plan to enhance this program?
One of the things that I want to do is bring more like multicultural representatives and come speak to CLA. And in addition to that, I want to also bring in like administrative people. So because CLA is kind of a stepping stone into SGA, I want freshmen to understand who exactly is running our campus. So I want to introduce them to our administrative people like Jeff Blanek, who's the Director of Admissions and Recruitment. I also want them to speak to like the Vice President of Operations to see how this campus runs, and also going back to my point about bringing like multicultural individuals to come speak at CLA meetings. I think that would be able to help improve like the perspectives of what students of color face on this campus, and not only that, but like how to run certain events. Like I'm from ISA, so the India Student Association. I would be able to come speak to them about like how to book venues, how to convey the meaning of certain religious or traditional holiday knowledge to students. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, candidates. Your next question, this next question is for Anakin. And of course. This question comes from SGA Vice President Emelie Schultz.
Although many students have heard of the Student Government Associations, the workings of the Student Government Association may not always be transparent to students. How will you effectively convey the roles and significance of the Student Government Association to the student body?
Well, that was one of the big things that I noticed whenever me and Trey were going around the union, was whenever we asked students what SGA, if they knew what SGA is or what it does, I would say like over 90% of the students did not know. So one of the things that I wanted to do is like create infographics. In our Instagram page, we already created an infographic about what SGA does and what each branch does. So we want to continue that on, and like with the tailgate idea, when students come over to our tailgate section for SGA, we can tell them about what each branch does and what the positions entail. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say to that, but thank you.
Thank you so much, candidate Koneru. Okay, candidate Mortazavi, the same question to you. Although many students have heard of the Student Government Association, the workings of the Student Government Association may not always be transparent to students. How will you effectively convey the roles and significance of the Student Government Association to the student body?
So if elected as vice president, my biggest thing was not just leading at my vice president candidacy, but for years on. So for example, I would love to work with Campus Activities Council and more importantly Camp Crimson for a solid freshman foundation. So for example, that would look like just at those meetings, we have SGA representatives come and they just explain what SGA is all about. And just kind of emphasizing that more, just making sure regular visits are happening. And as I mentioned before, Gateway to Belonging, I think is such a great sector of getting to talk to freshmen. And just talking to freshmen, having a solid freshman foundation will help the years to come. And then outside of freshmen with the sophomores, juniors, and seniors, it's more importantly just getting our name out there. Just from simple like Instagram posts to just, we could do like table fairs at the union and etc.
Thank you, candidates. You will now each have 2 minutes for closing statements, beginning with Cyrus.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank you all for coming to this event today. I know it's midterm season and things get busy, but I really appreciate you all coming today. I'd like to shout out the Crimson Leadership Association for coming and having their meeting here tonight. It's nice seeing you all. And I also would like to just thank the Student Government Association again for putting this on. Thank you.
Thank you, Cyrus. Anakin, you now have 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Well, I wanted to additionally thank everyone for coming and listening to both of our campaign speeches. For me, because I usually am a very shy person, it took a lot of guts, bravery, and delusion to get to this point. So, as my favorite female rapper, Nicki Minaj, said, I wish I could have this moment for life. And I've honestly met so many amazing individuals, and I really do wish I could have this moment for life because we're having a great time with our campaign, and I'm making a lot of friends, which is nice. Shrey and I, you're not going to find another Shrey or Aniket on this campus. There's only one other Aniket I have known, and he's no longer with us. He's in Michigan. Shrey and I really, truly aren't doing this for our egos or our resumes. We're doing this for the students. Being both pre-health students, we want to see our communities do well, and with our initiatives and policy-oriented action, we want to enforce policies that are relevant with the students, and we want to actively listen to the students, and there are different communities who have different types of problems, and we want to listen to them all. So, thank you guys.
Thank you very much, candidates. This concludes the SGA Vice Presidential Candidate Forum. We will now take a 5-minute intermission to set up the Presidential Candidates Forum, and we will begin at, what's my intermission now?
7:26.
7:26. So, get your popcorn, get some water, go to the restroom. We'll see you back at 7:26. Please give a round of applause. Now, welcome candidates. Like your ranking mates, you'll be given 5 minutes of opening statements. And now, the part everyone's been waiting for is the flipping of a coin. So I need someone to call it heads or tails.
Heads.
All right, you have heads, so
Tails.
I'm glad you agreed. It is heads, and y'all chat will believe me. So, you get to choose.
I'll go second.
You go second, Mr. Glasscock? All right. Shrey, you will be going first. Your 5 minutes on your opening statement begins now.
Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out to this debate. I want to thank the Student Government Association for setting this up, and I want to thank Mr. Glasscock, Mr. Mortazavi's campaign for coming to this event, because I believe it is so important for us to be participating in civic engagement and for all of us to be expressing our views in representing student concerns. My name is Shrey. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm a junior majoring in community health on a pre-medical track. The reason why I chose to run for the SGA presidency is because I want to win for OU students. I want us to be the best university in the world. Back when I was a freshman, the moment I stepped on this campus, I knew that I just had an urge and a passion to want to make change, which is why I originally applied for the Undergraduate Student Congress and was interviewed by, I believe, Abby Halsey-Kraus and Foster Hillis at the time. And it was such an honor, just to be an associate, because that gave me a chance to, represent the student views. And then I wanted to take on an issue at the time, the issue of vaping on our campus. And the way I wanted to solve that problem was by increasing the education regarding the dangers of vaping and nicotine, whether that might be through, adding more content into Camp Crimson training, providing more funds from ODS, from the Oklahoma Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse, as well as giving peer educators the time or the opportunity to be peer educators. And I want to win for OU students by welcoming community, igniting change, and notifying you. DEI is something that is very important to me on this campus because everybody comes from different backgrounds, races, religions, and sexual orientations. And we have got to protect our DEI funding by lobbying those state legislators to make sure that our DEI funds are continuing to go where they need to go. For example, if we defund DEI, this could impact our funds towards the ADRC, the Gender Equality Center, and International Student Services, and I could go on and on about that. We have got to make sure that we are welcoming community by also, doing those tailgates at those football games, establishing student sections at our baseball, softball, gymnastics meets, in all of our sporting events, because I want there to be that OU community. I want everyone to be a part of this family, and I want all of us to be a championship university. For igniting change, I want to fix our parking problem. For example, we have many spots which are being unused, and my proposal for solving this problem is increasing the number of hybrid spots between faculty students and commuter students so we are better utilizing the space we have on campus. And I want to address the sexual assault policy on campus. I am very fortunate that President Firch brought the It's On Us task force to the cabinet, and I plan on maintaining it because we have a lot of work we have to do. Right now, the minimum punishment for sexual assault is suspension, and I want to work to make it expulsion because we need this university to be a place which protects women, protects our LGBTQIA+ friends, because 1 out of 5 women in college campuses across the country are unfortunately impacted by sexual assault, and we have got to work to provide those resources to protect our students, as well as providing the distribution of resources to residential housing, required houses with IV fluids and condoms through collaboration through Goddard and the Gender Equality Center. And lastly, I want to help solve the academic advising shortage, which has been impacting many people, myself included. And my proposal is to have grad students in that role, because many grad students, they got their bachelor's degree and they want to help students, and incentivizing them to have that opportunity could help reduce that barrier. And for notifying you, like I said, I agree definitely with what Mr. Mortazavi said earlier. I actually have been telling Gateway to Belong classes myself when I've been campaigning that we want to talk to them about student government in all of the resources that OU has. And also, I want to do candidate workshops because we have many incredible leaders in this room. And it makes me sad when we only have 2 candidates for the SGA presidency. We should have more candidates, running for office, period, because I want our civic engagement to go up. I want our students to be involved. I'm sick and tired of us only having a 10% voter turnout. We have got to engage students. We have got to teach students what it's like to run for office, what are the rules, how to create a message, how to create a platform, and how to win for OU students and move our campus forward. And the last thing is, I am here I'm running not because I despise my opponents. I have a lot of respect for Mr. Glasscock as he does serve in cabinet with me, but the reason why I want to be your next SGA president is because I want to win for you. I want us to be championship ready on the field, in the classroom, and within our communities, and I hope that our WIN platform will be able to do that for you. And I'm so thankful to be on the stage, getting to live my dream right now, and possibly being your next SGA president, because that would mean the world to me, just putting a smile on everyone's face and getting to serve the people.
Thank you, Stray. Kaly, you have 5 minutes for your opening statement. You may begin when you're ready.
Hello, everyone. First, I just want to thank everyone for coming here. It's very important that we are all civically engaged and learning about both of our platforms. Hello, everyone. I'm Kaly Glasscock, and I'm running to be your next Student Government Association president. I'm a junior business management major on the pre-law track from Plano, Texas. These past few years in Norman have not only taught me invaluable lessons, but they've also opened the door to meeting the extraordinary people who've made this place my home. This campus has given me so many opportunities to grow and learn. Alongside my friend Cyrus-Mortazavi, we are committed to working diligently for you, the students, here at the University of Oklahoma by collaborating with faculty and ensuring that your voices are heard. Our campaign team consists of people from a wide variety of interests, backgrounds, and involvement. Our team collectively came up with our platform to ensure that we are representing a diverse assortment of needs and interests. Our platform is meant to reaffirm that we are continuing to bring student voices into our decisions and to allow for students to be in the know of what is happening in the Student Government Association and what is happening behind the scenes on campus. In previous elections, I've personally seen candidates go to organizations to get their votes and not come back. Cyrus and I have been and will continue to bridge the gap between the student government, the students themselves, and even the faculty. Our platform is here to make sure that you guys are a part of it, and we want to continue to make sure. And the lack of transparency between the faculty, the students, and the Student Government Association needs to be fixed. As the university moves into the Southeastern Conference, we need to prepare organizations for the influx of students, increase student morale, and increase student involvement on campus. We will work diligently with organizations on campus to give more opportunities for students to join, as well as properly publish the events that RSOs are hosting on our campus. Going into the SEC, we need leadership who will collaborate with organizations and university departments and offices, such as athletics, to provide the best experience for our students. Over the past 2 semesters, I've had the ability to meet with the Assistant Director of Fan Engagement to discuss experience for game days and tailgates. It is imperative that during this move into the SEC that we continue to optimize the resources we have on campus in order to better the student experience. Immediately, we will work with Goddard to bring Narcan, which rapidly reverses opioid overdose and other drug detecting tools on campus in order to prevent potential overdoses. Both Oklahoma State University and the University of Texas have these resources and preventions in place. And by adding these preventative measures to dormitories, bathrooms, and Greek lighthouses across OU campus, we can combat the occurrence of overdosing in the future. Next, we have already met with Oklahoma Votes and plan to collaborate with their team to ensure that every single student has an absentee ballot available to them if they want them for the 2024 election. It's very important that we are civically engaged, not only in the Student Government Association, but also in our state, local, and federal governments. We need to also ensure that the Student Government Association is working to change the student policy plans and safety trainings to make sure that students know what to do in critical situations. Last semester, we had the mass shooting threat on campus, and unfortunately, a lot of students on campus didn't know what to do. We need to make sure that we're working together to fix the safety concerns on campus and safety training so that in the future, if something like this happens on campus, students know what to do. Our platform is tangible, and it will make significant change. We are committed to working with you, the students, to bridge the gap, lead us into the SEC, optimize student resources, enhance our traditions, and make your voice heard. Cyrus and I are lucky to have called Norman home for the past 3 years. Now it is our turn to get back to the place that has given us so much. It's time for OU to bloom. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaly. The speaking order will now flip. So candidate, you will be answering this question first. Again, each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer each question. And your first question comes from SGA President Firch.
Thank you, Seth. Mr. Glasscock, one vital responsibility of the SGA president is to build relationships with our Board of Regent members. How do you intend to nurture these relationships, and what key messages would you like to convey on behalf of the student body?
Thank you. First of all, I think it's imperative that we are respectful and have a positive relationship with our Board of Regents. And if elected, I will make sure that we are effectively communicating student concerns with them. It's very important, and the whole premise of our platform is to get student voices into what we're doing. And so going to the Board of Regents is imperative that we reach out to organizations and we understand what concerns are happening to them. One concern I would bring is the tuition increase that we've had over the past few years. A 3% increase, which is very sad to see because we're the only school in the Big 12 that has been doing this year. Oklahoma State University, who's getting funded by the same entity, is not doing this. By making sure we're communicating students' concerns in a respectful and responsible way, I feel like if elected, we will make sure that we have a great connection with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Glasscock. So I'll read the same question for you, Mr. Kathuria. One vital responsibility of the SGA president is to build relationships with our Board of Regents members. How do you intend to nurture these relationships, and what key messages would you like to convey on behalf of the student body?
Thank you so much for that question, Mr. Firch. So I believe it is fundamentally important for the OU SGA president to be developing those quality relationships with the OU Board of Regents. If we try to bash them and try to attack them, what good are we doing, for our student body? Instead, if we have a collaborative mentality where we are working with them to address the issues of the tuition increase, in determining how can we go out there and work together to get the state funding we need for our university, because statistically speaking, Oklahoma is ranked in the bottom 10 in higher ed funding, and that's not entirely the fault of the Board of Regents. And there are other factors we have to consider, and yes, there is tangible change that has to be made. My experience, serving in the course marking committee, where we would go out there and work, to provide transparency regarding course materials in the provost office, definitely has me prepared, because the provost office and the Board of Regents have a very important relationship, and if we can establish those relationships to address the issues of textbook transparency, infrastructure problems, making sure our students have living wages, making sure that our public transportation system on campus is working, and making sure that our faculty are being paid appropriately, and making sure that our students are coming first. That to me is very important, and we have got to make sure that the OU Board of Regents is being transparent while also working with us to advance our university forward, especially as we enter the SEC, because we have to be SEC ready, and I'm sure if we collaborate to be SEC ready, we will be a championship university.
Thank you, candidates. Shred, you'll be the first to answer the next question. This question comes from the chair of the Undergraduate Student Congress, Halsey-Kraus.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Kathuria, from your perspective, what do you consider the most pressing issue impacting students at OU today?
Right now, when Anakith and I were when we've been campaigning, the students that have talked to us have addressed serious concerns about parking. We have many faculty spots which are being unused, and we've had students going through multiple parking lots, and they have not been able to find a spot. In response, Anakith and I already met with the OU Parking Services, Mr. Chris Glenn, and we came up with a proposal, and he agreed with it. What we are planning on doing is to increase the number of hybrid spots between faculty students and commuter students, especially for our parking garages over in Aspen Elm, because we should be able to use our space correctly. And yes, there are another 200 spots being developed, not because of my own doing, but because of the doing of the SGA president, Mr. Chris Firch, and the OU Parking Services director. We have got to go out there and allow students to be able to park and not have to worry about the crisis. Sure, is it going to be solved overnight? Not necessarily, but we have to, make simple steps and simple mitigation steps to make sure our students are being able to park on campus, attend class on time. And I think another very important issue is DEI on our campus. We have seen an attack of DEI. We've seen an attack on women's rights. We've seen an attack on our LGBTQIA+ rights. And some of my other proposals do include, whether it's working with women's health advocacy to put menstrual products in the female restrooms, distributing condoms to prevent the spread of sexually transmitted diseases to residential housing and fraternities. Also, addressing our academic advising shortage so our students are able to enroll in classes on time and can be able to not have to worry about graduating late. We have a wide magnitude of issues, and if we all come together and everyone collaborates, we can make the greatest change in the world, and Anakith and I are willing to do whatever we can to win for you.
Thank you, Mr. Kathuria. Mr. Glasscock, the same question to you. From your perspective, what do you consider the most pressing issue impacting students at OU today?
The most pressing issue for students right now is the lack of transparency of what is happening on campus. A lot of students, unfortunately, do not know what's going on in the Student Government Association and what resources are there available for them on campus. This campus has so many opportunities and so many resources for students that we want to make sure we want to optimize student resources for students so that they know what is there behind the scenes. And also, just in general, when it comes to talking about the SGA, we want to make sure that we're reaching out to more groups of people and reaching out to more organizations of people so that we can get their concerns and their voices heard in the Student Government Association. And a big thing also is we have a bunch of RSOs who don't actually know who is funding them, and so we just want to make sure they know who's funding them, how we can fund them more, and also just when we go to the SEC, we need to be very prepared. Due to the lack of transparency, I do not think we're that prepared just because the faculty hasn't been communicating very thoroughly with us with a lot of different situations regarding the transition to the SEC. But overall, I would just say that the main problem that's happening on campus right now is the lack of transparency, and Cyrus and I want to make sure that we're bridging the gap so that all student concerns are heard throughout our term.
Thank you, candidates. Your next moderate question will come from me. Kaden, you will be answering this first. At the University of Oklahoma, there are more than 500 student organizations. How do you intend to collaborate with student groups and organizations to ensure their voices are not only heard, but also amplified?
So this is the main focus of our campaign, getting student voices into the Student Government Association, because it's very important that they know what's going on and they know what resources that the Student Government Association has for us. For example, in the Conoco, where the Student Government Association is based in, there's scantrons for everyone, and we just want to make sure that we're publicizing those. But also, when we go to these organizations, we need to make sure that we're coming back and we're using our connections to come back and talk and understand what student concerns that they're having. Our Director of Interior is going to be the person who's going to be working very closely with these student organizations and the Campus Climate Board of Advisors so that when we work with them, then we can continue to work with them with these monthly meetings. I think that what we can do is make sure that students know what's happening in the Student Government Association, but also we can make sure that students know what resources we have. The Student Government Association is one of the best resources on campus for students, and we want to make sure that we're optimizing these resources and reaching out to students so that they know what's happening and what resources that we have on campus.
Thank you, Katie. Shrey, same question. At the University of Oklahoma, there are more than 500 student organizations. How do you intend to collaborate with student groups and organizations to ensure their voices are not only heard, but also amplified?
I think the way we have to do this is by doing town halls. SGA hosted town halls. While we've not had a lot of success with them, I think it's a very wonderful idea. I think the way we have to do it is by publicizing it better on Instagram, providing flyers all across campus. And additionally, we cannot be running away from our student organizations. Throughout this campaign, I've had the great pleasure of getting to speak with so many student organizations, whether that might be Women's Health Advocacy, Greek Life chapters, multicultural student organizations, Gateway to Belonging classes. We have to continue speaking to them. We have to continue collaborating with them. And I want to establish those relationships with them. And I want to encourage students, who are in charge of RSOs to present during their class. For example, if somebody wants to start an organic chemistry club, I think, we should definitely encourage them, and we should encourage faculty to allow students to take 5 minutes of class, to present, their student organization, for example. Because if we are connecting to students in a wide variety of ways, we can reach a wide variety of students, regardless of their race, regardless of their gender, regardless of their major, and we have got to make sure that we are providing information about the resources, such as the fact that SGA funds these student organizations, and that we can even collaborate with them to address campus-wide problems, whether it is, getting those menstrual products in women's bathrooms, planting those trees out on the South Oval, with the collaboration of environmental groups and OU Green Week. And, for example, we can work with, other health organizations to provide the distribution of condoms and provide the distribution of liquid IV. That's what student government does. We have got to collaborate with RSOs to provide resources for the good of all OU students.
Thank you, candidates. Shrey, you will be the first to answer the next question. This question comes from your SGA president, Chris Firch.
Thank you, Seth. Mr. Kathuria, in your opinion, what makes your ticket and platform unique and significant?
With our campaign, this is the first time where you have both the presidential and vice presidential persons who are both pre-health students. We have almost never seen that before in a student government election. And the reason why I think this is very powerful is because student government is not a political science organization. It is not a business organization. It is an organization made up of the engineering students, the pre-nursing students, the pre-med students, the sociology students, the psychology students. It's all of you in this room. Technically, every member in this, every person in this room is a member of SGA. And what makes our candidacy unique is that we are committed towards working to win for OU students. Anikith and I are not doing this to enhance our resume, because Anikith does want to go to PA school after he graduates, and I want to go to medical school after I graduate. And yes, while it is nice to have it on the resume, that is not the reason why we are doing this. The reason why is because public service to me is my #1 priority. And whenever I get to help people out, for example, with organic chemistry or gen chem or genetics, it brings a smile to my face every time I get to put a smile on another person's face, and whenever I get the chance to help them learn and help them grow. Because whenever you teach someone and whenever you learn from somebody who's talking to you, you're learning yourself, and that to me is very powerful. And I am so blessed, to be in this role, and I really believe that electing 2 pre-health students, to this role, we have an understanding of evidence-based policy, and we want to win. We want to provide those resources. We want to put a smile on everyone's face. We want to be championship ready, and we want to dominate moving forward, especially when we are entering the Southeastern Conference.
Mr. Glasscock, I'll repeat the question. In your opinion, what makes your ticket and platform unique and significant?
Thank you. I think it starts out with the understanding that we're going to the SEC next year. Our platform focuses a lot about how we're going to implement change so that organizations are ready for this. There's going to be a large influx of students coming in, and we need to make sure that they're ready as well, so that when we go into the SEC, that there's club fairs, and we're working with organizations and CAC so that we can increase campus morale. Going into the SEC is a big part of what we're focusing on because it's such a huge change. And focusing specifically on the Southeastern Conference and working with student government officials at other schools is something that we want to do immediately so we can conflict and work with them so any problems that they have and are facing, that we can make sure we're preventing it. I think it's important to also understand how we're going to make sure we're looking and reaching out to these organizations about this change into the SEC. With this influx of students, we want to make sure that they have the opportunity to apply to these organizations. There's so many wonderful organizations in RSOs on campus that we want to make sure that we're enhancing and getting more people involved in. And that starts out with reaching out to organizations and reaching out to multicultural organizations and just RSOs in general, so that in the future, when we go to the SEC and this new influx of students come in, we have the ability to increase campus morale and get more involvement. CAC, the admissions and applications have gone down 40% since COVID. And we just want to make sure that more people are applying and more people are actually getting involved on campus. And a big thing that sets us apart is making sure that we are leading us into the SEC and being in these conversations that will allow for us to effectively help this campus bloom. Thanks.
Thank you, candidates. Your final moderator question comes from me. This is a 2-parter, so stay with me. Okay, this one's for you first. How feasible and grounded is your platform? And which administrators and students have you engaged with to ensure it aligns with students' desires and needs while remaining realistic?
Thank you. I pride ourselves on how our campaign is realistic and feasible. It's very important that we can make change in this 1 year that we're in office, instead of coming up with ideas that are just out of the blue that we can't actually do. I think it's very important that every single point on our platform is something that we can do. And the people that we've reached out, for example, are Jansen Jessup, who's a part of the, who's the assistant director of fan engagement, because we want to focus on going into the SEC and making sure that when we go to the SEC, that tailgates can get moved so it's a safer environment for people instead of going all across campus, as well as making sure that involvement in the stadium is up more instead of people leaving, which has been a big problem. And going into the SEC environment, we need to make sure that people are staying and our fan engagement and our morale is up. We also have been able to reach out to Oklahoma Votes to work with them in order to bring absentee ballots to students. I very much believe in getting students civically engaged in our community, and I think it's very important that we reach out and give them these absentee ballots, whether you're from California or New York, or you just don't want to drive up to Tulsa or drive down to Dallas. You should have the ability to vote, and we want to make sure that we're reaching out to organizations and talking to them so you guys can also become civically engaged.
Thank you, Kaly. Shred, same question. Again, it's two-part. How feasible and grounded is your platform? And which administrators and students have you engaged with to ensure it aligns with students' desires and needs while remaining realistic?
I fundamentally believe that our platform is very feasible because we have to make change now. We can't wait for 1 year. We can't wait for 3 years. We can't wait for 5 years. I know I only have one term, if I'm elected SGA president. And we have got to work to implement these things. We have to create the change. We have to add more hybrid spots between faculty, students, and commuter students. We have to change our sexual assault policy to respect women and our LGBTQIA+ friends. We have got to work to provide more affordable textbook materials, such as the idea of maybe having Top Hat be a free service to OU students, and for us to have transparency on the ClassNav website. We can work to address the academic advising shortage. And yes, I believe a lot of it's feasible. We can, what we have to do is we just have to reach out. And already, just like Caden, I've also met with OU Athletics as well to discuss how to improve the student section experience. And I have ideas, whether it's dress-up themes such as a whiteout game, a blackout game, or bringing back the Big Red Rally, or simply expanding our student section experience towards all OU sporting events and having that established tailgates. I think a lot of it is, of our platform is very reasonable, and I think it can be done. And we have met with the director of admissions to learn about the current admissions trends, because we want to make our campus more diverse. We want to bring in more students from other international countries. We want to provide those opportunities for all OU students, and we want to enhance equity and fairness. And we want to improve our parking situation, because I know we can, and I know we can get the job done when we all do it together.
Thank you, candidates. You will now each have 2 minutes for closing statements, beginning with Shred.
Thank you so much once again to SGA for setting this up, and thank you so much, Mr. Glasscock, for being on the stage with me. It's such a huge honor, just being able to talk to all of you, because this type of event is very important for the OU student body, because we deserve to have civic engagement. We need to increase our civic engagement on campus, and by doing that, we have got to win for OU students. We have to welcome community. We have to ignite change, and we have to notify you, because at OU, we are a very unique campus. We come from different backgrounds. We are different people. No one person is the same. And there were many great ideas brought up tonight, but when you are voting on October 31st and November 1st, vote for who you believe is the most passionate. Vote for the one who you believe has that drive to make that change. Vote for the one who you believe will win for OU students. Vote for the person who you think can lead us to the SEC. Vote for the person who you can trust. Vote for the person who you know you can rely on, especially when the going gets tough. For me, I know I've had a lot of tough experiences at OU, but through each experience, alongside Aniket, we want to win for OU students. We understand the pain, we understand the concern of many of the issues students have brought up to us, and many of the issues which have impacted us ourselves. And I can tell you, our fire, our determination, and our grit will be a part of our administration every single day, and we will never give up. We won't quit. We will engage all OU students. We will continue meeting with OU students, and we are going to work even with our opposition if we win, because I want all ideas to be brought up. You know, I think the other side brought up some good points, and I think if we can all just come together, be one OU campus, we can make the change all of you deserve.
Thank you, Shrey. Kaden, you now have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Hi guys, thank you so much again for coming to this. I think it's very important that we have the ability to learn about each platforms as well as just making sure we're civically engaged. We want to make sure that we're bridging the gap between the student body, the Student Government Association, and the faculty. We think that it's very important going forward that student voices are brought into all concerns that we're doing and all decisions that we make. Leading us into the SEC, we just want to make sure that students and organizations are prepared for the new influx of students coming in. We want to make sure that we're optimizing student resources on campus, from making sure that there's Narcan for every student on campus to prevent any drug overdoses, as well as making sure that there's absentee ballots for any students on campus. We want to enhance our traditions by making sure that RSO events and events on campus have the ability to grow and get more people coming. We want to make sure that we're most importantly making your voice heard. Your voice is the core of any of this. The Student Government Association is nothing without any of y'all, and we just want to make sure that at the end of the day, your voices and your concerns are met and heard. Thank you, Shrey and Aniket, for having this debate with us. We're so glad that we got to meet with y'all, and thank you guys. And the conversation doesn't start now. We're going to stop now. We're just going to be over here if you have any more questions for us. We also have buttons as well. Thank you, guys.